every single sketchbook that I have ever owned, and I am going to go through every single one of these sketchbooks for this video. Okay, so the idea behind this video, obviously it's fun to watch, but also I know that in the world of social media that we live in right now, people always tend to show the best of their lives or their work or whatever they're doing. The same goes for artists. Obviously, I want my feed to be aesthetic, so I try to choose the best pictures to share. And where sketchbooks are concerned, there are a lot of artists that I follow that just have incredible, beautiful, perfect sketchbooks, and I have definitely gotten so frustrated with my own sketchbooks because I'm seeing all these other people with their perfect, aesthetically pleasing sketchbooks. And mine are just like, wow, this is crap. So I've decided to show you guys every single one of my sketchbooks that had at least something in it. There are sketchbooks here that are finished. There are sketchbooks that are not finished. There are sketchbooks that are barely begun. Some of them even only have one drawing in it. I included sketchbooks from when I was super little to now, sketchbooks that I've just started. I will be numbering the sketchbooks so that if you guys want to talk about them in the comments below, this will make it a little bit easier for you to kind of organize and choose which one you're going to talk about. I would love to hear your feedback, hear if there was a sketchbook you especially liked, even if there's like pictures in here that you kind of want me to revisit and maybe redraw. I think there's a lot that can be learned from looking back on your past art and maybe taking inspiration from you as a 8-year-old, you know? And maybe you guys can also get inspiration from this video for yourselves and bring that into the May art dump, which this is the first video of this whole video series that I'm doing, this whole, I don't know, art challenge type thing. I encourage you guys to maybe kind of revisit some of your old pieces and take inspiration from that and just see what you find. So without further ado, let's open these sketchbooks. So here we are at the very beginning. This was when I was about 5-6 years old, and there's just a lot in this sketchbook. This was back when I drew on both sides of the paper. I don't really do that anymore, but there's a lot in this sketchbook because of that. As you can see, I have always enjoyed drawing people. You can see a lot of people in this sketchbook. I also apparently really like writing my name repeatedly. There's a bunch of that in this sketchbook and other sketchbooks. I seem to have a fascination with my name. But I think that's just a little kid thing. I think you see little kids do that a lot. This next one is also from 2004 when I was 5 or 6 years old. A lot of the same type of stuff. You know, people always ask me, when did you start drawing? And my answer is literally always the same, as soon as I could hold a pencil. So yeah, you guys can see that I started drawing at an early age, and I mean, lots of little kids do. Like, you know, little kids like to draw, they like to be creative, but I definitely drew a lot. I did have an art teacher actually when I was like in kindergarten, I believe, maybe a little bit before that as well. Mostly just because my parents saw that I enjoyed doing art, and she was an artist at our church who agreed to give me art lessons. I don't remember a whole lot from that. I just remember that she had the most amazing art studio because there was so many art supplies. I also remember that drawing people wasn't one of her things that she liked to do personally, or that she felt that she was good at, but it was my favorite thing to do. So sometimes she would just like say, okay, if you want to draw a person, like go for it. I'm not going to be able to help you much with that. I remember making a few paintings there, and they actually look pretty impressive, but that's only because she did 85% of the work and I helped with like a palm tree or a flower here and there. I also remember that I really liked working with clay when I was there. That was my favorite thing to do. I loved making little clay sculptures, and I haven't really done that now. now that I'm older, but maybe I ought to pick it back up again. Next we have 2007, and we finally start to see a little bit of color. I did mostly just regular pencil before then. Alright, it's 2009, and this sketchbook actually contains 2009 to 2013 drawings. It's already really cool just to see the progression from when it was 2004 to now 2009, and see the areas that I improved throughout that time just because I like to draw so much. And this was during my manga phase. I never even read manga or watched anime, but I really liked how the characters looked, so I would draw them all the time. And that was mostly because I had a friend when I was in 3rd and 4th grade, and she was actually like 2 or 3 years older than me, but we got along pretty well. Both our parents worked at the school, and so we would hang out and kind of play pretend together. And she was into drawing manga, and I always just really looked up to her and her art. I thought it was amazing, and I wanted to be exactly like her. So that's kind of what kicked off the whole phase where I was interested in drawing anime style characters. This 2012 sketchbook, I believe, was either my 8th grade year or the summer before. This 2012 sketchbook with the red binding started out at an art camp when I was 13 years old, and I took a cartoon class while I was there. But the rest of it is just me using up the sketchbook after that art class ended. This art camp was actually in Nashville, where I lived at the time, at a botanical gardens called Cheekwood Botanical Gardens, and it's really, really pretty, really nice place. So if you're ever there and, we're not quarantined, then go check it out. A lot of 2012 sketchbooks, as you can see. This one currently was from an art class that I took in 8th grade. this time, you can see I'm still kind of hanging on to the manga style, but you can slowly see that I'm kind of evolving past that and kind of finding my own style. A lot of it is maybe based on the manga style that I enjoyed, but then this is also around the time that I got an Instagram, so it starts to evolve into stuff that I've been seeing on Instagram. Like, you're gonna see lots of eye drawings and lip drawings eventually, and that was definitely an Instagram influence. The summer that I first got my Instagram account, I was drawing non-stop, and this little sketchbook was the sketchbook that I started my Instagram account with. So there's a lot of old pieces in here that if you followed me for long enough, or if you've stalked my account, you may remember them. That first summer that I started Instagram was a magical time. It was just so much fun. The art community was a lot smaller. Instagram was a lot different. I participated in lots of contests. There were so many art contests hosted by art accounts on Instagram. We all had a really, really good time. If you're one of those OG art Instagrammers, drop a comment below and let's just reminisce together. I'm not against change, but I definitely have a soft place in my heart for what the Instagram art community used to be like. I also improved so much that summer just because I had the motivation to draw, like pretty much every day. I was just entering so many contests. I was hosting contests myself, doing collaborations with other artists. I was just posting so much, and I was so excited to be on Instagram. This sketchbook where the cover is painted was actually given to me for my 16th birthday by a friend who painted the cover for me. I loved this sketchbook so much because it was so pretty, and there's also a lot of Instagram art from my early days on Instagram in here as well. I believe this was my first Moleskine book. I definitely fell in love with Moleskine after this. I don't know if it's Moleskine or Moleskine, but I always say Skine. This book here, that's more like a collage scrapbook type thing, was me playing around with having an art journal, and I started it in 2015 on the very first page, and then I forgot about it, picked it up again in 2016, and then I did a few last year as well. Sometimes I wonder, like, what my art would look like these days if I had never gotten on Instagram, because Instagram, it is a place to post your art and share what you're doing, but it's also a huge place to be inspired and impacted by other artists. And so, you know, Instagram art definitely has a certain look to it, like the art that's most popular on there, and that has certainly impacted my art style. So while I definitely don't regret getting on Instagram, and I think it was a really good thing for me to do, I sometimes wonder what it would look like if I had never gotten on, and if I had just kind of continued doing art without being influenced by social media. I think it was a positive thing for me, because up until the point where I got my Instagram, I really wasn't being influenced by much at all. I was just kind of drawing what I had always drawn, and being on Instagram opened my eyes to lots of different and new art, and I had a lot more inspiration to pull from. sketchbook from 2017 was my very first year of college and my very first class in college. It was a drawing class, and there's lots of pieces in here that are drawings, and then there are also lots of pieces that were just like artist reports, so you'll see a lot of writing. This sketchbook I started and I wanted to draw in it every single day of 2018, and I stopped like 10 days into January. This is another sketchbook from college. This was from, I believe, Drawing 2. Alright, this big sketchbook was from last year, and you guys may even remember the video that this was for, but this was a challenge that I gave myself to fill a sketchbook in 1 week. And this was a big task, so there's a lot of drawings that are really not that great in here, but that's because I was really rushing. And I thought it was a cool exercise because if you're drawing and you're not really thinking too much about it, sometimes you'll spit out ideas that you never knew you had and ideas that you can pull from later. So that was the good thing about this challenge, even though it was kind of exhausting to try to complete. So I've definitely been enjoying watching this all together and seeing the progression, and I hope you guys are as well. It's really cool to just look back and see how my art has evolved, and like little things that will show up, and then maybe a few years later I'll kind of pull that thing back out again and evolve it to a completely different level. I think it's just really motivating to myself to see how much my art improved, and then to imagine like within the next few years how much more will my art grow and change and improve. Have my most current sketchbooks. This first one I just finished actually. I started it in 2019, but I just finished it this year, and I actually am still kind of using it a little bit. I'll use the backs of the pages sometimes. This next one is another Moleskine book. I just started it at the beginning of 2020. It was originally not gonna be a sketchbook. I was gonna write like Bible verses and quotes and things like that in it, just in a creative way, but I can't help myself for too long to not just draw, you know, whatever I want to draw. And I really like how it's looking so far, so I'm excited to continue that one. This sketchbook is more of a note-taking book. It's for my studio practices class, but it is a sketchbook still, so I used it as a sketchbook occasionally whenever I was bored in one of my classes or something and I needed to doodle. And this last one is actually a collage book. I started collage during the quarantine. I started trying it out and I decided to show you guys that as well, but it's barely started, as you can see. So that's all for this sketchbook tour, guys. That is all 42 sketchbooks. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it and enjoyed seeing the progress, but most of all, I hope you guys were able to see how very imperfect my sketchbooks are, and that is the way that sketchbooks should be. Sketchbooks are a place for experimenting and for practicing and getting better, and your sketchbook is perfectly fine the way it is. That being said, I also hope that this video gave you some inspiration, and I hope that you will go ahead and go through your old sketchbooks to get some inspiration of your own for the May art dump. These are the prompts for that, and you can go ahead and screenshot this page if you would like to join. If you're on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, you can go share your entries with me there, and I will probably share some of them. And I hope you guys have fun with the challenge. I will be back very, very soon with more videos for this challenge. But until then, guys, I wish you the best. I hope your creativity is ready to go and have fun and put out some really great art for this month. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more. And also, guys, please give this video a like and a comment, and I will be back very soon. Bye, guys!